My story begins when we moved into that creaky old house on the edge of Dartmoor. I'm Kayla, by the way, and it was me, my mates Zia, Noah, Ben, his little brother Jamie, and, well, Samuel. We'd been a tight-knit bunch since uni, always mucking about together, so when we found this massive place to rent cheap, it felt like a proper win. The moor stretched out beyond the windows, all wild and misty. The kind of place you'd expect to hear a hound howling in the night. I remember thinking it was dead picturesque, like something out of a Bronte novel. Didn't reckon on it turning into a bloody nightmare. The first day was all right, wasn't it? Just us lugging boxes, having a laugh. Well, except for Samuel. He was proper moody from the off. "This place is a tip," he grumbled, brushing dust off his jeans like it had personally insulted him. I just rolled my eyes. "Give over, mate. It's not that bad." But he was already stomping off upstairs, clutching that weird ink bottle of his like it was the crown jewels. Zia reckoned he was stressed from the move, and I suppose I agreed. We'd all been knackered, hadn't we? Figured he'd come round. That night, though, things got a bit off. I was knackered, sprawled on the sofa with a cuppa, when I heard it. A faint tapping, like fingernails on glass. I sat up, peering at the window. Nothing but darkness and mist out there. "You hear that?" I called to Noah, who was faffing with the telly. He frowned, tilting his head. "What? The wind?" I shook it off, but my stomach did a little flip. It didn't sound like wind to me. Next morning, Zia found that ink bottle tipped over in Samuel's room. Black gunk pooling on the desk. "Bloody hell, look at this mess," she muttered, grabbing a cloth. I wandered in, still half asleep, and froze. The ink wasn't just spilled, it had formed shapes, jagged little lines like some mad scribble. "That's weird," I said, my voice catching a bit. Zia squinted at it, then went dead quiet. "Kayla," she whispered, "it looks like it says leave." I stared, heart thudding. She was right. The letters were wobbly, but clear as day. "Nah, that's daft," I said, forcing a laugh. "Just a trick of the light, innit?" But my hands were trembling as I backed out the room. Samuel didn't help matters. He barged in later, all huffy, and snatched the bottle off the desk. "Who's been mucking about with my stuff?" he snapped. I crossed my arms. "Mate, no one's touched it. It was like that when we found it." He glared at me, then stormed off again. Zia watched him go, chewing her lip. "Something's not right with him," she murmured. I nodded, uneasy. "Yeah, but it's more than him, isn't it? This house. It feels off." That night I couldn't sleep. The tapping was back, louder, sharper, right against my bedroom window. I bolted upright, heart hammering, and yanked the curtains open. Nothing, just the moor, gray and endless under the moonlight. But then, oh God, something moved. A shadow, tall and thin, flitted across the glass. I stumbled back, my breath hitching. "What the fuck?" I gasped, voice all wobbly. I wanted to scream, but my throat locked up. I just stood there, shaking, till the sun came up. By breakfast, I was a wreck. "I saw something last night," I blurted out, hands wrapped tight round my mug. Noah raised an eyebrow. "What, like a fox?" I shook my head, voice trembling. "No, mate, a shadow. Proper tall, moving fast. It wasn't natural." Ben snorted. "You're having us on." But Zia cut in, dead serious. "She's not. I saw something too. Yesterday, in Samuel's room. That ink. It moved. I swear it." Jamie piped up, wide-eyed. "Like a ghost? Like Black Shuck or Summit?" I shivered. That old Devon tale about the devil's hound didn't feel so daft anymore. Things got worse after that. One evening, we were all downstairs trying to ignore the weird vibes when the lights flickered. Not just a quick buzz, proper strobing like some dodgy club. Then the telly switched on by itself, blasting static so loud I clapped my hands over my ears. "Turn it off!" I yelled, but Noah was already fumbling with the remote. It wouldn't stop, And then, Christ, the static cleared, and a voice crackled through. "Get out!" it hissed, low and guttural. I froze, ice flooding my veins. Ben swore, Jamie whimpered, and Zia grabbed my arm so hard it hurt. "What the hell was that?" she gasped. I couldn't answer. My voice was gone, drowned in panic. Samuel came crashing down the stairs then, face pale as death. "What's going on?" he barked. I rounded on him, fear boiling over. "You tell us! This started with you and that bloody ink bottle." He flinched, clutching it tighter. "I don't know what you're on about," he muttered, but his eyes darted away. Zia stepped in, voice shaking. "Samuel, if you know something, say it. We're scared, mate." He hesitated, then slumped. It's not just ink," he said, barely audible. "Found it in a churchyard, didn't I? Thought it was cool, but since then, I've heard things. Whispers." I stared at him, dread pooling in my gut. "Whispers? And you brought it here?" He nodded, miserable. "Didn't think it'd do this." And before I could snap back, a bang shook the house, like something massive had hit the roof. Dust rained down and Jamie screamed. "It's gonna get us!" he wailed, clinging to Ben. I grabbed a poker from the fireplace, hands sweaty. "Right, we're sorting this now," I said, voice quivering but firm. We crept upstairs, the air thick and cold. Samuel's room was the worst. His door swung open, and that ink bottle was smashed on the floor. Black liquid seeping into the boards. The whispers started then. Hundreds of them, overlapping, hissing in my ears. "Leave! Leave! Leave!" I clutched my head, legs buckling. "Make it stop!" I cried, tears streaking my face. Noah grabbed me, shouting over the noise. "We've got to get rid of it." Samuel nodded, frantic, and scooped up the broken bottle with a rag. We bolted outside, the moor wind whipping round us. Samuel chucked the bottle into a ditch, and Noah lit a match, tossing it after. Flames roared up, unnatural and green, and the whispers turned to shrieks, piercing, furious. I covered my ears, sobbing, as the fire burned itself out. When it stopped, the silence was deafening. We stood there, trembling, clinging to each other. "Is it over?" Jamie whispered. I nodded, shaky. "Yeah, kiddo, think so." Back inside, the house felt lighter. Still creepy, mind, but not alive with malice. We packed up next day. None of us fancied staying. Samuel apologized, proper gutted. "I didn't mean for this," he said, voice small. I hugged him, exhausted. "I know, mate, just no more dodgy souvenirs, yeah?" He managed a weak laugh. "We're closer now, oddly. Fear does that, doesn't it? But I still wake up some nights, hearing whispers in the dark. That house is behind us, but whatever was in that bottle, I reckon it's not gone. Not really. And that's the bit that keeps me up, wondering if it'll find us again."